Just a few kilometers from the Broken Islands is the town of Ucluelet, and in it are a lot of unemployed loggers. A skill center has been set up to help them make the transition to different jobs. But everywhere there is bitterness, uncertainty, and a sense of loss.
All of you know people that have lost jobs, and there's families, co-workers, friends, kids that your kids played with. In a small town, those people make the town work. They're the ones that are the coach for the baseball team. They're part of the PTA. It's left a huge gap here.
Then I'm too old to start off again. Coming out of 60 years old, it ain't much sense of retraining again.
Your pension check will overlap.
Yeah, well, the thing is, who's going to hire you and who's going to really actually take me at my age and train me? I quit school when I was about 15 years old. I left New Brunswick, going to come out here. Then they tell me, well, this is a good place to work, and we'll come out here and they promise you everything. And then all of a sudden, there's nothing left.
Alternative approaches such as ecoforestry and selective logging aren't rejected in this discussion, but they aren't exactly embraced either.
Ecoforestry, because that's something that's been done on such a small scale, we've got absolutely no guarantee that these methods are going to be economically viable or the safety aspects and other aspects of it.
I think where we really fall, where we start getting really leery is when we have to go into a standing forest and take only 1 or 2 trees out.
There are questions that need answers, and the idea of change isn't easy, because most of these loggers have spent their whole adult lives working as company men.
I dropped out of high school in grade 10, never did finish grade 10, and I basically went straight into the forest industry. I've worked in a sawmill for going over 20 years now.
But Neil Katai has looked for new directions in the forest, and Merv Wilkinson is part of the reason. When the first signs of trouble began to appear in the 80s, Neil decided to explore other possibilities. He studied sustainable forestry with Merv, and today, in addition to working at the sawmill, he works part-time as an ecoforestry consultant.
Well, to work with Merv, he basically reinforced my philosophy on the way logging in this province and the country really should be done. The way he's done it over the past 50 years just shows people that it is the proper way to do logging instead of your clear cuts. If we would have done that in the beginning, it would have, we wouldn't be in the problems that we're going to be facing in the year 2000. The rate that we're cutting in this province is not sustainable. There's 120 mills plus in this province, and the sawmill I work in, we go through 1 logging truck every 15 minutes.
1 logging truck every 15 minutes. 80 million cubic meters of timber harvested in BC on average each year for the last 10 years. If you took a stack of that lumber 1 meter high and 1 meter wide, you'd circle the equator twice. That's 80 million cubic meters. That's how much lumber has been taken out of BC forests every year for the last decade. The big sawmills rely on clear-cutting to provide the volume of logs they need to stay in business. It's an industry built on speed and quantity. The advances in technology mean each year it takes fewer men to process the logs, and the lumber products it creates are largely board timber and pulp and paper. These are lower grade products, easy to make and easy to sell. Merv, on the other hand, doesn't have as many logs to work with, so he tries to get as much value as possible out of each one. The development of the portable sawmill allows him to do just that, selling custom-cut lumber direct to builders instead of raw logs to the big sawmills.